successful people, happy new year and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Officially, this is the first video of the year and I wish you all an amazing 2023, a glorious year, an impactful year. It's so good to be back on YouTube. Tell me, how is this year going to be? I believe you've seen a lot of goal setting videos and I'm trusting that you've been able to set one for yourself. So we're going to start off the new year with a video telling you things you need to look out for when applying for a fashion or when applying to a fashion school in Nigeria. All right, so let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, I'll just be saying it randomly, is that go research your school. Go research your school. So the way I like to see the fashion school is the same way it is when you are looking for admission in a university or a higher institution. Most of the time, you always have different choices. Even in JAMB, I don't know how they do it with JAMB then, but the year when I did JAMB, you always have like 4 choices. So you have first choice, second choice, and under it you have first choice for university. In fact, more than 4 choices. 2 choices for university, 2 choices for polytechnic, 2 choices for college of education. So you add up to like 6 choices to pick from. So you can always have like 6 fashion schools you are considering, and then go and make research. Don't have just one. No matter how people say, oh, this is the best fashion school, there's always another one that is still better, or they are on the same level. So always have like at least like 6 that you're looking out to, then you start shuffling them out. So when you get like 6 good fashion schools, that's the first step. Have 6 good fashion schools at hand. The next thing is you want to go and research on these fashion schools. So you want to look at in terms of finances, what are the things how much do they charge, how much is their school fees, can you afford it? Don't let it be that you just go to the fashion school and then you paid 50% and they are dragging you to pay the rest. No, you're going there to gain knowledge. You don't want the teachers to be cursing you and saying this girl did not pay school fees. So you want to ensure that you can afford in terms of schooling, in terms of the school fees, you want to ensure that you can afford it. Okay, another thing you want to do is to ensure that, okay, their projects, look at the students, their past student projects. Is it that they use expensive lace? Is it that they use crepe? Is it that they use African print? Are these things the things you can afford? How many projects do they do before they graduate? So let's say they do like 10 projects. Can you afford per project? What's your budget like? So if they say you are meant to make a man-made dress, probably embellish it, and you feel like, oh, the budget could be like 20k per project, and you have 10 projects, that's about 200,000 naira for the total projects you have, excluding your final project. So 200,000 multiplied by the school fees, then multiplied by your final projects. Can you afford it? And then you want to also check the location of the fashion school from your house. So if you live in the same state with the fashion school where you want to go, how much transport will carry you? So when are their lecture days? Is it 3 times in a week? Is it 5 times in a week? You want to multiply that by the amount you will need to spend to and fro moving from your house to the fashion school. Adding that to your finance. So now I've talked about the school fees, the project fee, and also your transport. Now, in case you do not live in the same state as your fashion school, moving over, how much will it cost you? Renting an apartment. If they also have an hostel, taking up an hostel in the fashion school, you know that you'll be feeding yourself. Okay, you know that you'll be feeding yourself. So if you are feeding yourself, how much do you need to budget per day for the number of days or months you'll be spending in the fashion school? So you need to calculate this and ensure that, can I afford this? So if you have like 6 fashion schools, you feel like, oh, one has an hostel and is very far away from your house, the other one is close to your house but their school fees is higher, another one is out of your state. You want to have calculations for all those 6 fashion schools and pick the one that favors your finances best. And then while also considering your finance, you want to check if this is a state that is not where you live. You want to consider the standard of living. For example, if you are coming from somewhere like Nasarawa and you are coming to a fashion school in Lagos, the standard of living in Nasarawa is different from the standard of living in Lagos. Things are expensive in Lagos. There are a lot of things that are expensive in Lagos. So you want to be sure even the fabrics you buy in Nasarawa at a cheaper price, when you come to Lagos, are they more expensive in Lagos? So these are some things you want to consider. And then another thing I want you to notice is that there are some schools that are not popular online but are very good. So some of these schools might not take their online presence so important, but they are doing very well. So that's why when you're making your research, you want to ensure that even though you are making it online because you see a lot of the work online, you want to also go around and based on referral, ask people that you know that have been to fashion schools or have an idea about fashion schools. Ask them, what about those fashion schools that are not online but they are doing really well? There are some fashion schools that in fact they might even have an online presence but they don't really post things on their social media pages. You want to check and say, okay, if they say they are good and they don't have so much on their social media pages, can you just stroll in one day into the academy, just see how they do things and look at their projects? Or if these people organize graduation parties and they make it open for all, attend their graduation party one day to see what their students are doing. However, I know it's not so easy to just walk into a school and say, okay, I want to see what your students are doing. But you let them know that you want to be a student, that's why you're asking for it. A number of times, it's always the social presence that you use to judge. But I just want to clarify that there are some schools that are very good and they are not online. Another thing you want to consider when applying for a fashion school is what programs do they run in the fashion school. So as much as, there's something called beginners, foundation, advanced, intermediate, you want to be sure that what is in their curriculum is really what you want to learn. Okay, I remember when I was looking out for a fashion school, I got varieties. There were a lot of good fashion schools, but I need to ask myself, who am I and what are the kind of things I would like to sew? What is the kind of brand I would love to build? Are these people looking like the kind of brand I would love to build? Are there students making things that I would love to make? I would love to make for my clients. So I am the kind of person who would really like to do things like wedding dresses, dinner wears, corporate wears. I don't do a lot of ashwebis. I don't do a lot of these big gigantic designs. I always do a lot of designs that are subtle, simple, but have a touch of classiness in them, if there's a word like that. So I needed to look out for a fashion school that did something similar and would teach me something similar. So there are several fashion schools, and if you look closely, even if those fashion school owners don't know, some of them pay attention more to doing a lot of ashwebis and a lot of beadwork, and some pay attention to a lot of dinner wears, a lot of corset making, a lot of intricate designs. So you need to ensure that, okay, you're looking at what they are teaching their students, what their students are making. Does it look like what you want to do? You need to check. So you have like 6 fashion schools you're looking at. Trust me, all the 6 are not doing the same thing. They might be doing the same topics. That's the funny thing. They might be doing the same topic, but they are going to separate themselves by the way they do those things. So if you are teaching corsets, I can use lace to make corsets, and you can also use crepe to make corsets. So it really shows the way they are paying attention to things, what their direction is, and you want to check if it really aligns to what you want your brand to be about. Okay, so look at their programs and check if any of their programs suit what you want to learn. Some of you might really want to just go for an upgrade. Maybe you already know about this fashion thing and you want to do an upgrade. It's very important to pay attention, ask for their programs, their curriculums, to check if it suits what you want to do and learn. Another thing you want to know is the application deadline. How can you be applying to a school and you don't know when the deadline is? Oh, really? So most times you say, I got the school, I'm looking at it, I'm saving up money, and then you just, when your money is ready, you now send a message, I want to apply, and they're telling you, registration ended. Come on, you need to follow up back to back. After you've gotten your 6 fashion schools and maybe you filter and you're left with just 2, you want to ensure that you know when their registration starts and when it ends. So if they are saying, our registration starts in January and it ends in February, you want to make sure that, okay, I can get enough money that I need to start my fashion journey within this period and also register. And please don't wait till deadline before you pay. Some people don't even have deadline. They just have to when their slots are filled up. Some fashion schools might want just 10 or 20 students, and so they wait until when they have 20 students. And some fashion schools, in 1 week when they open registration, their slot is filled up and they have to close the deadline. Mind you, there are a lot of fashion schools who even tell you they have deadlines. Some of them, especially the popular ones, even if their deadline is, let's say this is January now, and it's February, and they have people rushing in by the So you are still there and saying, oh, the deadline is still February, it's still February. You want to ask them, even if they tell you their deadline is this, ask them, do they have the number of slots? So you don't work based on the deadline, and then when you middle of February, when they say their deadline is ending of February, and then middle of February you are calling them and you're telling you, oh, sorry, registration has closed till next year, is going to be so heartbreaking. So it's important for you to follow up with their deadlines and know when to register, and always register early. Don't wait till deadline. So another thing you need to apply is application forms. So there are some schools who make use of application forms. There are some schools that make use of application forms, and some of these schools, the application forms comes at a fee, and it is non-refundable. So you can just pay, I don't know how much they charge, but in Nigeria, sometimes it ranges from 5,000, 10,000, 15, depending on how the school is. Some even have 2,000 or even 1,000 naira, depending on how the school is. Okay, it could be more, it could be less. So you need to get that to apply. And the application form doesn't mean that you've gained admission. It only means that you are letting them know that you want to apply to the school. Okay, so then when you apply, it's just include your details, the course you want to take, and all of that. So you need to always, when the application form is open, that's like the first thing you need to get before you pay for your school fees. And then some schools also need letter of recommendation. So if you are coming to their school, they want to be sure that, hope you are not a tout, hope you are of good behavior. So they might need you to write a letter of recommendation. This is not for all fashion schools. Some fashion schools don't do this in Nigeria, but some also take letter of recommendation. So you need to have someone write it for you. And then some also tell you to write a short essay about why you are coming to the school, what you hope to learn, why you even chose them in the first place. Remember, not all fashion schools take this. Okay? Another thing that you need to know is that some fashion schools, when you apply, they might call you in for a test. Yes, quite a number, especially if you're not going for the foundation class. Quite a number of fashion schools do this. So if you are telling them, oh, I'm not a beginner, they want to test your knowledge. So they might call you in to say, okay, come and draft a pattern. Okay, come and sew. So they might not even inform you. We're calling you in for a test. Some might even have a written test and say you should write and fill in the gap. Okay, so you want to prepare, sharpen up your skills in drafting, in cutting, in sewing, in writing the test, or your knowledge in fashion, so that eventually when you write the test, you can pass and go into the level that you choose to go to. So it's very important. You're watching this video, I've told you now, they might call you in for a test. Don't say, I did not know, they did not tell us before, that's why I didn't pass the test. Okay, so quite a number of fashion schools do this. They call you in for a test. Then another thing you need to know is that some fashion schools will ask for your portfolio. Now a lot of Nigerian schools don't do this, but some might do that, or ask you to show them your work, your best work. So if you tell me you've been sewing before, show me some of your work, let me see, and please show them the work that you did by yourself. You know that you're the one that sewed this dress, you made it yourself. So show them, let them see that, oh, these are things you can do. So that really stands for your portfolio. Another thing that you need to know before applying for fashion school is that before you apply for the fashion school, please sleep. Oh, you didn't hear that? You didn't hear that? Please sleep, as in sleep, eat, go out, have fun. Sleep, eat, go out, have fun. Tell your neighbors, sleep, eat, go out and have fun, because when you gain admission into a fashion school, I want to say that you won't sleep, but you might be able to sleep a little bit, but sleeping isn't something that you get a lot of. Yes, fashion schools are very, very tedious. You do back-to-back work. If you have seen any fashion school students, you need to ask them. They don't sleep. They hardly sleep. They only sleep once in a while. So if you can get all the sleep you can get right now before you gain admission, please go ahead and sleep, because sleep is not guaranteed in fashion school. Sleep is not guaranteed in fashion school, all right? So please sleep, eat well. You might not have time to eat because you'll be on the machine all through, you'll be cutting and sewing, and have fun, go out and party. Because when you get into fashion school, there's no time to do that. You have back-to-back deadlines, when to submit your assignments and all of that. Okay, so I'll just try to round up the video now. If I have any other thing to say regarding this, of course, there'll probably be a part 2, or we'll put this in another video. All right, so make sure you enjoy your new year. And I wish you success if you're really looking to get admission in a fashion school. I wish you all the best. God will provide for you in terms of finances, instead of strength, energy, and power. Okay, I'm rooting for you, and have a nice year. Bye.